It's the Zach Sang Show. Zach Sang Show.
Zach Sang Show. Greyson Chance back in the studio hanging out. Hello, sir.
Back again. Long time no see.
Yo, I know. But you have a lot going on right now. You have a brand new single, Back on the Wall.
Yeah, coming out next week.
Congratulations.
Officially, thank you.
You feeling good?
Yeah, I'm to the point now where we're like a week out and I'm listening to the song and I'm like, oh my God. Wait, it's about to come out. Like, is this the right song? Like, freaking out.
Well, you start questioning everything, right? Is it the right? Are you like tearing apart the actual song?
Oh yeah.
You want to change things right now?
Yeah, well, it's done. It's like locked in, and the EP we have coming out May 13th too. So I've like kind of stopped even listening to it because I'm like, stop overanalyzing it. There's a release date.
Somewhere over my head is the EP.
Yes.
Dude, 8 songs?
Man, I wish it was 8. No, it's 5 for now.
5 songs, okay.
I've been away for a bit, so we're gonna tease an EP first, and then we'll see what happens after that.
Okay, is that a part of the strategy, right, and like the challenge? Because Greyson Chance, I mean, you've been on the show. Yeah. I was looking at pictures the other day, like on my Facebook, of you coming to do the radio show back in New Jersey, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, you were super young, paparazzi, Ellen DeGeneres. The world knows you from that. Yeah. There's strategy involved here of like re-releasing yourself to the public because you don't want to do too much. Yeah. Because you don't want them to judge everything just yet. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I think now I've definitely started to notice, and I knew this was going to happen, but at first, people just didn't want to take me seriously at all.
Yeah.
And now, we're only 2 songs in, and I think it gets better with every little thing.
But I don't know why. Why do you think people didn't want to take you seriously at first?
I don't know. I think there's this thing with artists when they start out when they're young.
Yeah.
And then I think when they come back, there's almost this mentality amongst people where it's like, we don't like. You were then back then, and that was it. That was the ride. And it's on me. But in all honesty, I don't know if it's because of where I'm from or whatever, but I have a chip on my shoulder that just is like, okay, I'll prove it to you. That's fine.
That's like a part of the fun, right? You want to set a challenge. You want to have something to aspire to.
Yeah, of course. So I just put it back into the music, and anyone who has told me like, oh yeah, well, you're good, you're just not great. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll show you.
We were obsessed when you performed Afterlife,
I
right?
love Afterlife.
Thank you so much.
We've watched and listened to that performance so many times. And it was weird like watching you perform because it was like, that was the Greyson that I knew when you were younger, but it was also like such a mature sound, but also such beautiful lyrics.
Oh, thank you, man.
The 5 songs for this EP, where'd you record the EP? Was it LA and Oklahoma or mostly LA?
I started things in Oklahoma, and I think we talked about that last time, but I mainly recorded everything in LA, and yeah, just now that we've started to get into the things and talking about the songs, it's funny now because looking back, I realize how much of Oklahoma is in there.
Yeah.
And also too, just the fact that I moved out and there's a lot of homesickness in the EP and some stuff going on there. So it feels really reflective of like the past 9 months for me.
How's it been being homesick? You were just home though. I stalked your Twitter.
Yeah, I went home for a brief moment, and I try to go back as possible, especially for the weekend when my friends are off work, so I can come back for the fun stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's tough, but I think as time has gone on and I've been here longer, it gets better. But like my dog is in Oklahoma, and that kills me.
That's the worst.
Yeah, like that's just really bad.
Imagine being separated from Uma.
I know. Well, I mean, my parents, they have pets that I grew up with.
But now you have Uma. That's different. Like, is this your dog? Like, is this your real dog or is it your family dog?
I don't consider him a dog. I consider him more of like
a member of the family,
a human. Like, and I think my parents are to the point now where it really does feel like a 4th child. Where they're going on vacation this summer, and they've legitimately been talking about, well, like we might bring whiskey to like Ocean City, Maryland. And I'm like, what? Like, where's our ticket? Like, you have 3 kids. Like,
you don't get an invite, but the dog gets to go.
We're not really.
No, I'm on your parents' side. Like, I would bring my cat, Uma Perman. She's like my roommate. She's not my cat. My roommate.
She's more of a roommate to you than your sister at this point.
Yeah, she bullies me.
But they like overfeed the dog. That's why I've been trying to go back more, is because like I came home and I was like, you're so fat, but I still like love you so much.
You're like, Mom, relax.
Yeah, I'm like, guys, like this dog is gonna die within like 1 year because he's so overweight, because all you do is just feed him treats, and like he's not even gonna make it to Maryland. There's no way. So I'm trying.
Somewhere Over My Head, the EP, it's coming out in a few weeks here, right? May?
Yeah, May 13th.
May 13th. Where does the name come from?
There's a lyric in the last song. You'll like this because sometimes it's tough to be uber creative in pop music. But I did one record, which is the last song on the EP, which is 2 songs that kind of combined into one. And the last part of that last song, there's a lyric called "Somewhere Over My Head," where the lyric is, "You weren't looking at me, you were looking instead somewhere over my head." So I was just like,
Wow.
all right, little creative Greyson, we're gonna make that the tagline.
I like that.
It's like when you wave to someone and you think it's you, and then like, you know what I mean? Like when
That's
someone's
the-
waving and you're like, hey, and it's this guy.
That is the very nice version of it. I wish it was that simple, but the
about,
lyric is like so depressing. Yeah.
So
Like, yeah.
I can like I'm gonna like tear it apart for a second,
Yeah.
but like you're so you're kind of saying that like somebody like you think somebody's actually looking at you, and in reality they're looking at somebody beyond you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the thing.
You wrote the whole thing yourself.
Yeah, I wrote that song with a guy named David Ryan Harris, who's done a bunch of John Mayer stuff. So that was like a massive thing for me as a songwriter, and he helped me out just because I kind of had that story.
Yeah.
And another lyric in the first part of the song is, "When I wanted more, you wanted more than me." So it just is like this whole like sort of thing of like, you were looking over there, like I wanted more, you wanted more than me, all this stuff. And you know, he writes records with John Mayer, and he was like, "You're a really depressed kid." And I was like, "Thanks, man."
Thank you so much.
I really take that to heart.
I mean, that's a
appreciate it.
compliment if you're trying to be an artist, right?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
I mean, it works.
Yeah.
So, like, when you look at Somewhere Over My Head, was that a relationship that you were in?
Yeah,
where
it was,
you thought you guys were good when in reality, I mean, they didn't even want you?
Yeah, it was a couple of things. It was like I looked back, also with some friends too. You know, I got asked yesterday in an interview. I was doing a phone interview, and they were like, "What inspires you more, like love relationships or like friend relationships?" And I like this thing went off in my head. I was like, "Whoa, that's actually a great point." Where I'm probably more inspired by like what happens with my friends and stuff like that, especially moving away.
Yeah.
So I think I kind of just looked back and was being reflective for a bit, and maybe said there were some relationships in my life where I felt like people were kind of looking over me or around me. And you know, in LA too,
Yeah.
it's like people will be like, "Hey, nice to meet you. How many Twitter followers do you have?"
We just had Time Flies in here last week, and he said the same thing. I was
Yeah.
like, nice to meet you. How many Instagram followers do you have?
Yeah, like seriously. I mean, that's just
It's sick.
like, I really have to sometimes be cynical because people be like, "Let's hang out," and I'm like, "Great," and then exchange numbers, and they'll be like, "So when are we gonna collaborate?" And I was like,
No.
"Oh, okay,
That's what this is.
never mind." Delete.
Do you have any like celebrity friends? I feel like I might have asked you that the last time you were here too. Do you have any? Like anybody you can trust? You can be honest. You can say no.
Yeah, I have people that I can trust. And then it's like there's categories.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
like,
There's levels.
I know that sounds so selfish and mean.
No, but
there
they're
are
doing the
definitely
same
categories.
thing to you, so
Yeah.
don't even worry about it.
I like having friends completely out of music.
Yeah.
That's like the best thing in the world. Like, I have friends back home who like are accountants. And I'm like, "Tell me about numbers." And they're like, 2 + 2. And I'm like, "Amazing. Great.
I love it. Do it again.
Awesome. So cool." And they're like miserable. And I'm like, "Yeah."
That's
cool.
an interesting dynamic. Are they supportive of you?
Yeah, I think, well, it's funny too, is like there's just this thing where I think people assume that, again, when you have Twitter followers and when you write music, that I'm like rolling around in a Rolls Royce in
Yeah.
Los Angeles and like going out like popping bottles, and in reality, I'm like back home reading books, like playing my piano.
And
like,
Madam Secretary.
but House of Cards now, my friend.
Me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, come on.
Oh, wait, House of Cards is amazing, but did you finish Madam Secretary?
I
or did
finished
you...
Madam Secretary, yeah.
Yeah, but up to the current season, no.
Second season, right?
Well, I'm on like the third season. Like I'm watching.
Wait, there's a
currently.
third season?
Yeah, like I it's on CBS. Like I got hooked off of the Netflix seasons that I watched.
I'm just like, you know, for a minute, I think this election has just provided me more entertainment than like any other TV would provide me. So I'm just like, when I can't sleep, I'll just put on MSNBC, and it feels like it's like a dramatic, like screen written show.
Yeah,
I'm
you're like,
just
oh, I love
great.
this show.
Amazing.
What
yeah.
season are you on in House of Cards?
I finished it.
The whole series. I mean,
The-
okay. First of all, it's scary because
No
it's Hillary
spoilers.
Clinton.
No spoilers.
There's no spoilers, but you should know
Okay.
that the whole Robin Wright's character is Hillary Clinton. Straight up.
Yeah, but I
Hillary
kind of think
Clinton.
that's dope. I kind of think that's cool.
Yeah, but like, don't you look at Hillary Clinton differently as somebody who's following the election?
No, during this season, during the 4th season, I was just like, in all honesty, like Claire should be president. Because
What?
she's dope, dude.
She gets it done.
She's
Neither
awesome.
one of them should be president at all. Their motives are so skewed, and there's zero genuine anything.
They passed those bills though, man. Like,
This guy.
I mean, if we're gonna talk about Kevin Spacey's fake presidency, where he takes funds from FEMA to put people to work in Washington D.C., that's crazy. That's a terrible idea.
but they both have that cool accent, and they're just like, they're
Wow.
sweet, man. I really
They're
dig it.
hot. They're like hot.
And they murder people on the weekends.
Yeah, like,
Sweet.
They're fun.
Yeah, but I can't look at Hillary Clinton and not think murder now. Because there's a part of me that really believes that, like, they might have killed someone to get there.
You know what happens when you assume?
Hillary Clinton kills me?
I don't know. I was hoping you knew.
An asset of you and me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just be careful what you talk about, Zach.
That's what I'm saying. I could be that guy.
I have very powerful friends.
Yeah, you might be friends with Hillary. I don't know. Are you into the election as, you know, an 18-year-old, you know, socially conscious individual?
I'm extremely into it, but I don't talk about it because I think if I don't know, I feel like there's a level that people can get at in terms of like being an artist or an actor or whatever it is. And then once they pass that, then they can talk about politics. And I'm still just trying to put my EP out. So.
I get that. So do you think Demi Lovato is at that level when she goes and she backs Hillary Clinton for president?
I abstain from having an opinion on that.
Okay.
I think... No, yeah, I think it's fine.
Didn't you tweet that you were out yelling at like abortion people the other day?
Well, yeah, that's like, man, I could talk about that for like 45 minutes. Well, it was these people, like, I was born and raised in the church, and it was these people holding up terrible pictures, but they were trying to get people to go to their church. And so I just pulled one of them aside, and I was like, listen, like, that's not gonna get people to go to church. Like, I don't think anyone in LA is gonna be like, wow. Yeah,
I'm gonna try that.
I really want to go to church now. And so he like kind of started throwing some stuff at me, and then I just yelled. And then, but I don't know. I felt like Jesus was on my side the entire time. Like I felt like he was like, "Good kid." Like, right. So
You did right.
Yeah,
That's nice.
it's
Did
tough,
you win
man.
Did you win the argument? No, you can't really reason with them.
Yeah, I think that guy was like sufficiently crazy. But I don't know. Maybe I talked a bit of sense to him. Who
As
knows?
somebody who grew up in the Catholic Church, right? And I mean, usually, I don't know, Catholics and Christians, they have their differences, right? You see stuff like that, and it ruins it, right? Doesn't it ruin church as a whole? Because there's a lot of good that can come out of that.
Yeah, well, totally. Like I'm even, and for me too, it like goes a lot back to the music as well. We have a record on the EP called No Fear, and I was talking to a friend about it, and I was like, in some ways, it kind of talks about like faith and that sort of thing. There's a line that says, "Not even God could give you this feeling," and my friend's like, "You can't say that. Like you were born in church," and I was like, I'm still a Christian and I still feel fine saying that. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's a new wave of like young people coming in and being like, okay, I think we know what's up now.
Hell yeah. The social issue's a little bit more liberal on.
Oh yeah, 1,000,000%.
Dude, if the Pope can accept so much, can his followers? Christians and Christians, Catholics, popes, are they different? Do we have anybody who's a religious expert here?
I'm Jewish.
I got no clue.
Dan's a fake Jew. I'll give that a Google.
They're different, yeah.
They are different,
Yeah.
but the Pope is seen as like virtually the son of God almost, right?
Yeah, because my grandparents are really Catholic and they have like pictures of Francis on their fridge.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah, like they really like him. But I feel like he's cool too. I feel like I don't know if he like invited me out for like a beer or something. I feel like I'd be like, hey, yeah, like I'll go out with the Pope. Like, yeah, that sounds or wine. Sorry.
Yeah.
More appropriate.
Yeah, I'd definitely go out and do that.
Are you trying to get away from the whole you and a piano thing? Because I was listening to, was it Hit and Run and then Oceans, the song you do with Tidy, and they seem very electronic, like completely different than what we're used to with you.
I think, yeah, there's a level of that. I like a combination of both, and I think I just played some shows. I played LA in January, and we did Chicago and New York. And I think, even when we were planning out the show, it felt like a right mixture to me because I write everything starting on the piano. But then, I do like the elements of modern music and some of the fun stuff that you can do. So, yeah, I don't like to limit myself at all.
Would you put out a version of both? Because I was reading a lot of the comments on some of the new stuff, and everyone's like, hey, put out a piano version of this one.
Yeah, I like to, and I like to go around as well and play them acoustic. I played Oceans, which is the Tidy record.
That song's awesome.
We played that. Thank you. We played that on the road, and I played it piano in a very kind of almost like Southern vibe on the road, and it gave the song a whole new different meaning to me and like different light. So yeah, I like seeing both sides of it for sure.
Now that song, is that a Tidy song or is that your song?
I'm featured on it, so
Okay.
it's a Tidy song, but him and I wrote it together, and it's a feel good song. I'm a big fan of it.
Is the new EP going to be more of that feeling, or is it more of the old Greyson Chance?
I think it's definitely new, and I think it will be a new sound for me. Definitely more mature lyrics, and maybe even a little more alternative driven in some ways. But Back on the Wall, which is the record coming out next week, that to me is like one of my favorite records I've written in a while, because I wanted to have a hook that just felt good and kind of had this vibe to me, which is like some of even the mixing is a bit weird. Like some of the things are a little higher than they should be, but it's just, you want to roll your windows down and you want to jam out to it. So I just really wanted to make feel good music for this time around and really, really focus in on the lyrics.
When you think about old Greyson Chance, Unfriend You, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember that song like it was yesterday, right?
Swag, yep.
What do you think? What is your opinion now?
I think, I was really happy with the music when I was a kid and when I was younger. It's going to be very different for me. We have a documentary coming out too that I did with Full Screen, and which is basically 6 episodes, and each episode I kind of talk about the journey.
Great.
And we just watched the final edit a couple days ago, and I'm looking back and I'm talking about things, and there's just, to me, when I look back at it, I just see such a determined kid, who just really, really was so new to everything, but thought he really understood it very quickly. And I think at the time I thought I did, and maybe I did or maybe I didn't, but I don't know, I see a fighter there. And so music, put it all aside, I don't really jam out to Unfriend You anymore, I'm not gonna lie. But I still see a fighter and someone who writes music.
That wasn't an Ariana Grande feature, but she was in the music video. I remember that.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, Ari.
And I remember when you went on tour with Miranda Cosgrove.
Oh yeah, man. She's back now, and I saw Ariana in Oklahoma City, and yeah, it's just, out of all people who could have made it, she deserved to.
But everyone knew.
Yeah, she's got the voice. Come on.
Crazy talent, and yeah, it's stupid. But I remember the Miranda Cosgrove tour too, because you would go out, it would be a grand piano out on stage, right? And it was like real music. Mm-hmm. Everything that followed was complete, but you came out and it was real music.
Thanks.
And I remember going down to your dressing room at the PNC Bank Art Center, and I saw your mom downstairs, and I remember saying, I was like, you know what? And I would just watch you jam out. I was like, he's like a young Billy Joel.
Oh,
it's like, it was the most amazing thing I had ever seen. And to watch the crowd be so focused on it, and these young kids just, you behind this massive grand piano, and you were like, I don't know, what were you, like 14, 13?
13, yeah.
Crazy.
He fails to mention that backstage after too, he walked in when I was just completely drunk after the show. I was pouring bourbon.
He was really shit-faced. It was terrible.
No, I think it's to me, and even in the documentary too, we talk about that tour, and I talk about how that was the first time I learned when you're an opener, how even when I was 13, I was like, I gotta make a better show, like or better than who's headlining, and how that was such a thing for me.
Wasn't hard.
So it certainly like it was a competitive thing for me, but
good.
I think, I look back at those videos and again, it's funny. It feels like a different kid, but I know it's not.
Yeah.
And in the same issues, same problems I was having back then, sometimes I still have now. And it's just that constant, like, okay, you're writing music, you understand that music's pure, the industry's not, but that's okay. So fight through it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What made you want to make a documentary?
I was very skeptical about it at first. I was my management team, we were talking, and there had been such a down period, and there had been so many things that had happened that you don't really talk about on Twitter and you don't really talk about on Facebook. And they said it's a good idea to tell that story. And I didn't want to. I was very self-conscious of it. And finally they just kind of sat me down. We found the right film guys and we just went through it. And Full Screen too, who's helping us put it out, we watched it, and there's like one episode where they're just like, no one would have assumed that happened. And I was like, yeah, welcome to the music industry, man. Of like backstage stuff happening, and you keep a smile on your face when it's going on. But yeah, I had to go through label drops, management stuff, and all those sort of bad things at a really young age.
And it was like you and your parents versus everybody else.
Yeah.
With no real knowledge or guidance.
Yeah. Well, my parents were amazing because they never were like momagers or dadagers. They were never like that, but they were such a like beacon or pillar of support for me.
Yes.
And so they helped me through. But it's it's funny, sometimes kids will come up to me and they're like, I love playing music and I love doing all this stuff, and I want to just like take them and put them under my arm and be like, who's your lawyer? Like, let me talk to them. But again, you do it for the music. That's what it's all about. And also too, it's once you find the right team, and I'm so inspired by the people that listen to my music, and that's what matters, is the connection I have with them and making sure that I still release content out to them. So that's what this new EP is a reintroduction to 18-year-old Greyson.
When and where can we watch it?
The documentary will be out on, I should be able to talk about this now. Am I able
Not
to
yet.
talk about this now? Okay, I'm able to talk about this now.
Yay!
It's going to be out, first episode coming in beginning of May, and it will be out on full screen streaming platform, which will be on all my socials and everything. And the first episode will come out before the EP, and as the EP's out, every episode will come out every week.
That's awesome.
And so May's just going to be,
It's going to be a good month.
if you want to know a lot about this kid, come on.
Somewhere Over My Head, May 13th is the EP.
Yes.
Are you going to do a tour afterwards?
I have 2 shows right now planned, and then more shows to come in the
San
summer.
Francisco and
San Francisco and
Seattle.
Seattle, May 27th, 28th. It's going to be me, a piano, and a Rhodes, and a looper pedal. So we're going to make a bunch of noise with little instruments. For
That's really
an hour and a half.
cool.
Yeah.
Is that going to be like the kind of style you want to bring to your show?
Kind of for this run. It just kind of came out of nowhere because
Yeah.
I did the full band run in the beginning of the year. And for these shows, we wanted to kind of, since they're kind of tied in with the documentary, we wanted a bit more acoustic, a bit more
Cool.
intimate. And I said, okay, I have a looper pedal. I can mess around with that.
That's awesome. Greyson Chance, always a pleasure, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me back again.
Any other questions?
Yeah, are you sick of playing paparazzi?
I haven't played it in a while.
Really?
Yeah.
Strategic, obviously. You
I
don't wanna
get
be-
I get a request a lot of the time, and my same answer is they're like, "Do you still do Lady Gaga covers?" And I'm like, "Only when I'm drunk and with my friends." Signing out.
I love it. Greyson Chance, Somewhere Over My Head, the EP, May 13th, Back on the Wall, single. It's next week.
Boom.
Peace
Thanks.
and love, dude.